Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Design Theater. Today we are looking at the artist Takayuki Takeya, who was the character designer for, I believe, Kamen Rider, as well as a bunch of other Japanese anime products or projects. And this guy's got some insane character design stuff. I really dig the character designs this guy does, and I think there's like quite a couple of different things that we'll pick through and we'll notice about this guy's work that are pretty important and things that you can apply to your own or that are just cool to look at. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. First thing it is that I'm looking at is I'm assuming these are Buddhist deities, and I actually don't have much to say about these, but I do like this deity standing on this demon. I think that's really cool. It's kind of like asserting the power of this deity over the demons. I'll have more to say about these individual. Yeah, so stuff like this. I did a character design masterclass in this guy's work, and I looked at quite a few of his pieces. And there's a couple of things to notice about his work. For one thing, like this stuff is obviously this drawing looks really goofy because it's all over the place, but I think his stuff is really creative and it's really a useful thing to think about whenever you're trying to do character designs. Is notice that this guy, whenever he's drawing on his own, he's taking inspiration from everything. So you could imagine that he had the inspiration for what this character design would look like when he was passing by maybe a Halloween festival or something along those lines, right? And he starts looking around at whatever it is that he's surrounded by in terms of like the decorations for Halloween, but then also like maybe food that people were eating or something along those lines. And he takes those and he incorporates those into illustrations, into character designs. And you'll see more of it as it goes along. So I feel like this Halloween one was just kind of a goofy one that he did, but you start to see that same attitude and that same philosophy expressed in all of the drawings it is that he does of his characters. I'm not sure what. I'm assuming these are from Kamen Rider, but if not, please feel free to drop a comment in the description and let me know. But you see some interesting things, right, that we've talked about in previous episodes. If I dim this down and I come in here, start doing some draw overs of it, I see that there's some circle elements here, right? And those kind of accentuate what is otherwise a pretty rectangular design. All right, so he picks his shape. His shape is this kind of rectangular, these cubes that he has here, right? He's got all these cubes here. And he's using that as the way to show the form of the body. And then we see that there's some sort of plasma, that also is, I guess, some sort of a fire that's coming through. It's holding all of these pieces together. And then he accentuates these rectangular shapes with these round shapes. One of the other design decisions that he's making is he's making it asymmetrical by having this huge flame shape that just cuts right across the illustration from left to right, which makes it feel very dynamic, right? Because as you'll see when we get later into these, this is kind of the exception to the rule. Most of this stuff is it can be very symmetrical. This is another asymmetrical design though, and I really dig this one because you can look at it from two different perspectives and you can say like, okay, well, these two different sides contrast against each other in terms of shape, This is color grayscale, right? This is more playing with the silhouette. It's pushing the silhouette out. I would say this is less so on this side. In a sense, you could say that both of them are circular, except for the circles here, they go in a pattern like this on this side. Over here, he's turning them in perspective, and he's creating this kind of like cliff kind of shapes here, right? So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. This is kind of an example of what I mean. For the most part, a lot of his designs are very symmetrical. You know, they're not, they're very creative, but typically what you'll see is you'll see a lot of symmetry in his designs, and then you'll see some sort of an accent like the eye here that breaks up the symmetry of the piece, or little details like the bracelet, right? And so that's something to keep in mind. Like if your drawing starts to feel too symmetrical, then you want to break that symmetry up with like some elements of interest, because otherwise, if something is too symmetrical when it comes to a character design, it starts to look very generic. And like I said, you can really tell that one of the design ideas it is that he has, which I think is a good exercise if you're doing character designs for your comic or something like that, because I primarily do comic stuff, but I also work in games. But if you're trying to do design and you want to expand your understanding of design, you can take inspiration from what this guy is doing. He's looking at potentially things that are just in his environment, just random things that he comes across, and he's trying to take those and he's trying to put them together and put them in a design, right? So you could say that he may have been flipping through a book on sea creatures or something like that, and he pulled up an image of a shark, an image of a squid, and maybe some of the shapes of some of the creatures in the water, and he used that as his inspiration in order to create that. Same thing here. What it is that he was looking at here, who knows? Because this stuff is so creative. That's what I dig about it. Oops. So I could see that he maybe was looking at something like squids or something along those lines, but then maybe he was also looking at like organs, like a piano organ or something along those lines. The design just looks really crazy, but you can start to get an idea of how it is that you can take shapes that are not something that you would typically think of whenever you're looking at character designs and incorporate those into your designs. Same thing here, right? That's how you keep a drawing from looking like somebody else's, is that you take inspiration from a lot of different sources. Here you go. Here's another perfect example of this. What was the inspiration that he was drawing on here? What was he doing? And maybe I'll make a video specifically about doing this, taking random objects and putting them into a design. But I mean, look at the elements of design. He may have been looking around his room and he saw a gamepad. He saw, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is like some sort of gaming accessory, but it looks like a battery, right? But that gives him his silhouettes for the shoulders, for the shoulder pads. And then there's another gamepad here. And then for the design on the pants, he's got some sort of combination, and then a joystick on the shoes. And the end result of that, and then he's got some sort of a like weird lizard tongue looking thing going on here, right? So the end result of that is something that is really creative, really creative. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. If there's an artist it is you would like for me to study, please leave a comment in the description below and I'll make sure to make some videos about them. I'll be having a comic book process video coming up here really shortly this week, and some updates with that and some other stuff I'm doing. Got lots of stuff coming. I appreciate you guys and have a good one.